This is a Dell gaming laptop. It's a nice looking device, but this machine has several problems. The first one is that this laptop had a problem with the CMOS or the BIOS. The laptop does not start, just the cooling fans are spinning at the maximum. First, I suspect that this is some other hardware issue. Also, I tried changing the RAM, checking the voltages, and testing other things. But after resetting the BIOS and some tweaks, the laptop came to life. The other things are that the power connector is broken, the cooling fans are loud and annoying, the rubber coating over the case started to be sticky, and this machine is coming with a standard configuration. The CPU is Intel i7 7700HQ. The GPU is NVIDIA GTX 1050 Ti. The RAM is 8GB DDR4 and the laptop has 1TB mechanical disk. Well, let's start and do something better with this machine. When the power connector on the Dell or other laptops is broken, or the zero or the ground line is missing, then the laptop may show random malfunctions, like the laptop will start slowing down and not use more than 50% of its performance. Also, the battery may stop charging, and some models may have problems reading the second RAM slot or other hardware problems. Also, this may happen if the laptop charger or the power adapter is bad. I mean in both cases, if the ground or the zero line is missing. I'm telling you this in case if you have some similar problem, it may not come from the hardware. In more than 50% of cases, the problem may come from a bad power connector or power adapter. Mostly had this problem with the Dell laptops and Alienware models. Anyway, this also could be a problem with other laptop brands. Disassembly of this laptop is not hard, but it's kind of tricky. Some plastics are tricky to remove, some cables are going from the behind of the laptop and some are from the inside. Also, most of the gaming laptops have screws that are harder to spot, so removing something needs to be done with care and precaution. And I'm almost done with this assembly. The keyboard is not with screws and not easily removable, but under the keyboard is dirt and some keys are sticky and hard on pressing. So I had to remove the keyboard as well. The keyboard is covered with a metal cover or metal plate, and this plate is sticked from all around with plastic. Now using a scalpel, carefully I cut all the plastics from around. This is not an easy task and not recommended to do, because first the keyboard easily may be damaged, and later returning the keyboard to the place knows to be a pretty hard and tricky. But anyway, because I need to do some extra cleaning and mod, I'm going to cross over this process. After I finish with disassembly, I clean my work surface, and then I move to cleaning the laptop. First, I'm going to start with the motherboard, and here I will remove the heatsink first. After I took out the heatsink, I was pretty sure that the laptop was disassembled before. The thermal paste was still okay. I mean, it's not fully dry, and the cooling pods were still good, but anyway, it's great that this laptop has no physical damage on the motherboard. Using 96% isopropyl alcohol, cotton buds, brushes, and sponge sticks, I removed the old thermal paste from the CPU and the GPU. Now I move to clean the motherboard and the heatsink. Here I use standard things as always, such as brushes, isopropyl alcohol and vacuum cleaner. I clean the motherboard from all sides around, including in-depth cleaning of the USB ports, other ports and slots of the motherboard. So basically I want to make this motherboard to look like a new one. I place my serving plate for cleaning. And using isopropyl alcohol and brushes, I start with cleaning the rubber pads from the GPU. After cleaning, the pads are refreshed, dust and dirt free, and useful again. The major reason why laptops are overheating is the dust on the heatsink. In most cases, the dust will create a full cover and block the fresh air from passing through the heatsink and cool down the laptop. The best way to clean the heatsink is to wash it. To wash the heatsink, I'm using degreaser and dish soap. This is the same degreaser for cleaning oily parts, oily surfaces, or cleaning the kitchen, and it's very effective in cleaning the heatsink. It will easily dissolve all the dust and dirt. Anyway, in the end, I rewash the heatsink using warm and clean water until all the dust and dirt fall off. Now I took a hair dryer and I start with drying the heatsink. The heatsink must be fully dry before I mount to the motherboard. After I dry the heatsink, carefully I place all the rubber pads on the heatsink. Now the rubber pads are clean and much stickier than before, which is great. Now I apply fresh thermal paste over the CPU and the GPU, and later I mount the heatsink. The motherboard is complete and is looking perfectly fine. But now I move to clean the other smaller parts and electronics. The cables, the other buttons, cooling fans, and etc. Now I'm on the keyboard. Cleaning this type of the keyboards is a little bit slow process, and it may take longer than usual. I clean this keyboard in more steps. First, using a vacuum cleaner and brush, I collect the dust and dirt as much as possible from all around and below the keys. Now, I took cotton buds and isopropyl alcohol, and carefully I start with cleaning all the keys from all sides around, and the dirt on the base. In the next step, I use soft napkin and isopropyl alcohol again. This is to remove the dirt that is on the top of the keys. During this process, I use the vacuum cleaner again, brushes, and other things a couple of times. I used everything all over again until I got the desired result, and until the keyboard was perfectly clean and ready for use. Now, I move to the case. On the top side of the lid are some stickers, and I had to remove them. Using a hair dryer, first I softened the glue from the stickers, and carefully, using scalpel, I start with peeling the stickers from the case. Unfortunately, the stickers, as always left some glue, and to remove the glue, I used nail polish remover, or also known as acetone. This is not recommended to use, but anyway, the rubber coating is already sticky and damaged, and later I will do some mod, so no problem in this case. Also, cleaning the top side took a while, but always patiently work until I get the desired result. Now the top side is clean and smooth, and now I can move to the front side or cleaning the display. I start with a mixture of anti-static glass cleaner and isopropyl alcohol. As well, I use brushes and soft napkins, and first I start with cleaning the bezel and the corners. After I clean the bezel and the corners, I move to clean the display. And after cleaning, the display is looking much better than before. Now, I move to clean the rest of the case. I wash the whole case using degreaser, dish soap, and warm water. Actually, I had to rewash the case a few times until everything was perfectly clean. While washing the case, using sandpaper, I removed the black color from the metal grid on the front side. And now the grid is just metallic. The metallic grid in combination with the red mesh from below is looking nicer than I thought. Anyway, this color starts to peel when I start with washing the case. So this was a basic solution, which actually turns to be pretty nice. Now, before I continue with anything else, I had to remove some rubber pads and stickers that I had forgotten previously. And again, I re-cleaned the whole case, because to prepare the case for painting. Before I start with painting, using paper tape, I start with covering and isolating some parts that don't need to be painted. Also here, I'm not going to remove the display, but I will protect any part around. Actually, I don't want to remove the bezel because the bezel is very well factory sealed. And anyway, I even didn't plan to paint the bezel. This is kind of risky, but it's not the first time I have done this. Actually, I have done this many times before. And the final thing is the painting. I paint the laptop using deep black matte spray, and I create like lava or crust effect. I use this effect and this paint method because the paint is far more durable and the paint will last for a very long time. In most cases, the paint will outlive the laptop. Now it's time to assemble this machine and later do some upgrades. First, I start with returning the keyboard on the palm rest. This is a little bit difficult task because the keyboard needs to be pushed forward and all keys to pop up normally in the front side. To the other side, and also all the plastics must be perfectly in place. To stick the keyboard, I used epoxy glue, but before I stick the keyboard, I mark all the points where the keyboard needs to be sealed. Also used plastic clamps and some tape to keep all the parts in place. Also, this is a standard procedure if you want to change the keyboard only, without changing the whole palm rest. Some laptop keyboards are already sealed to the palm rest, and this is the only way to change the keyboard only. When I work repairs, I have done many times, so everything is pretty familiar to me here. This is a very strong glue as well, very nice for things like this. The only thing is, while mixing this glue has a strong smell like a dead fish. But anyway, it's okay. Anyway, after drying up, there is no smell, and the glue is perfect for something like this. Meanwhile, I found a power connector. This connector is not from the same laptop, but is the same connector, except the cables are very short. So I gave this connector to a friend and he resoldered all the wires. After I stick the keyboard to the palm rest, and while the glue is drying, I took the trackpad and I covered the trackpad using carbon fiber vinyl. I have done this because the trackpad over time becomes worn from using. Also, the vinyl won't cause any problems in terms of functionality or anything else. Now I've continued with assembling this laptop.
Shaken but not stirred, just a lesson that I've learned, and so it goes, tables turn in your own. When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things it took from me.
And I'm going to do some upgrades now. Instead of 8 gigs of RAM as before, I'm going to add 8 gigs more, so in total this machine will have 16 gigabytes of RAM, and the laptop will work on dual channels, which is better for games and even better for general use. The next thing is 250 gigabytes M.2 SSD. This is a used SSD, and this M.2 was left to me after I've done some upgrades to other laptops. 250 gigs isn't bad for this machine. I mean, as a primary disk for Windows only, and because I got it for free. Now, I test the laptop because I want to be sure that everything is working fine. The laptop has started normally, I ran some basic tests, and everything is pretty fine. After I run the basic tests, I mount the back plastic that is covering the heatsink and is protecting the cables. And the final upgrade is I add another 512GB SSD. I mean, instead of using the regular mechanical disk, 512 gigs isn't much as well, but it's going to be good enough for some games, some data, and etc. After I assemble the whole laptop, I move to make some additional changes. In the CMOS, and I continue with installing the windows. While installing the windows, I had to check the cooling fans because the fans were unusually silent, but the cooling fans were spinning just well, I mean as needs to be in normal conditions. After installing the windows, I moved to installing the drivers, making some customization and installing other softwares and games. And after making all these changes, this is the final result. Well, and a few words about this laptop. This laptop is still a good machine. It's pretty fast for doing most of the daily basic tasks, such as working something, watching movies and videos, listening to music, and this machine is still okay for playing some games. Also, this laptop is much faster now, much more quiet, and cosmetically is in a much better condition. On this laptop, I installed Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. In the Origins, I used mixed settings, some settings to high, some to medium and some to low, and the game is working just fine. In the Odyssey, I used mixed settings as well, but the best combination is a mix of low and medium settings. This game has a little bit higher system requirements, much more details and better graphics. The both games were released about 5 to 7 years ago, but the graphics and the details are still amazingly good. Also, the story of the both games are connected. I like the both games because the game stories and adventures are great. And also these games for me have a different charm because I have visited many of the places that are mentioned in the game stories. Well, and this is all about this Dell laptop. I'm very glad because this machine is fully functional again, and definitely I will play on this machine a little bit. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope this video will give you inspiration and ideas to make some stuff better, or back some stuff in function again. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.